Hello there. How are you?
Ah, il y a du soleil, c'est le printemps. Quand même,
Uh,
aujourd'hui, on va aller à 15 degrés. C'est le
oh
temps
yeah.
pour le bikini.
Okay.
No, well, not really, but I guarantee you, you will see people today in parkas and shorts because that's how
from
we
your
feel.
from your mouth to Mother Nature's ear. I hope.
Yes.
Anyway, we're running. We're a little late this week, but here we are, and our guest is Denis Lavigne, who runs. He runs.
He is the
Came up
president, executive creative director, and co-founder of Oasis Immersion. Now, I know,
Oasis Immersion, which is at the
yes,
Palais des Congrès, which I've heard a
that's
lot
right.
about, and I have not seen. But you've been there, done that.
Well, I was lucky to meet Denis when I was going out to do weather, and I was, it's great, but as much as weather reporters love to go out in minus 45 with a wind chill of, I don't know, the subarctic, it's much more fun to go into museums and experiences. And I found out about Oasis Immersion, and I went, and it blew my mind. And I had a chance afterwards to meet and talk with Denis, and I'm always amazed by people who are like what I call Michelangelo, right? They
Okay.
think of something
There's
that's
a
spectacular and new.
running a bit of video here. It's a few years old, but it gives you an idea of what this immersive
Oh,
experience is all about. These projectors and lasers, and of course, we have a lot of questions for them. I do, especially, but
yes.
it.
It takes you somewhere else. It takes you out of your everyday. And it really, what I find every time I go there is that my imagination is really stimulated and it actually gives me new ideas. And I think that is one of the most important things about art. And this place, I've always loved art in museums, but this place is like haute gamme, époustouflant.
Okay, he's just coming online right now,
Okay,
and again, it's Oasis Immersion or Oasis
exactement.
Immersion at the Palais
Ouais.
des Congrès. Someone was telling me about the Van Gogh exhibit a while back as well. That was quite something, and I look forward to seeing it. And there's Denis. Good morning, Denis. How are you?
Very good. And you?
We're fine, thank you. We're just talking about what you do for a living and Oasis Immersion, and we just looked at a little bit of videotape there, and it looks very, very interesting. Um, Era, start things off.
Well, I know that you worked a lot in advertising and marketing and promoting, and but then you started to take this leap and go in another direction. And I believe that you started Arsenal in 2019, and this opened Oasis Immersion. It was in other places in the world, but I believe this opened during COVID, right? During 2022.
Yeah, it did. It did. It opened on February 25th, 2021. We the way that it happened initially, we were supposed to open Oasis in the spring of 2020. But because of the pandemic, it was of course delayed. And then on February 8th, I always remember that date. François Legault said, "Okay, people, I get it that you are going nuts with the curfews and all the rules. We'll open museums, and this will be a therapeutic moment for everyone." And when he said that, we declared ourselves a museum, and we opened Oasis, and nobody came to see us to say we were not a museum, and so we've been open since
Excellent.
then.
Spoken like a true business person.
Yeah.
Félicitations. That's great. Now we were just looking at a bit of video earlier, Denis, and there's this is your website here too, and we're looking at the various bits and pieces in there. It's quite something. The question I have for you is, you must have experienced something somewhere that sparked your interest in this kind of display. Where was that?
Prior to Oasis, I had a creative agency for 15 years. And strangely enough, when I started the agency, we were doing custom publishing. So we were doing, because I had worked in publishing before, so we were doing magazines for brands. That was the trend at that time. We're talking like end of the 90s, early 2000. This was a big trend. If you remember, Benetton had this great
Mm.
magazine called Colors at the time. That was very controversial, but also very powerful. And that was at a moment where the concept of a brand becoming a media was kind of emerging. And so I was very much interested by that. And so when we started when I started the agency, this is what we're doing. And 15 years later, we were doing immersive installations for brands and resorts and museums. We were doing, interactive installations, all kinds of experiences, mostly for brands. And then we were acquired by a projection company. I worked for them for 4 years and then started Oasis. So the the idea of putting these experiences together really came along as I was noticing that technology-based experiences at a certain moment were considered, oh, this is a nice wow thing to have in a space, but it kind of grew to become the experience itself, and so that's what led me to put together Oasis. There was already two sites that had opened a bit before us. So there was one in Paris called Atelier des Lumières, and there was another one in Tokyo called Team Lab, borderless. And we were in the first wave, let's say, of these types of immersive museum, immersive destinations that were put together in the world.
Now, Era has visited your exhibit perhaps more than once. Era, yes.
Yes. And go ahead, please.
No, 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 no. I have a quiz for you, but please continue.
Okay. Well, we talk about immersive and interactive. And for people who don't know, what is the difference?
For me, immersive is really about our ability to encapsulate an audience in a unique world, a world of visual artistry, a world of powerful soundscapes, and a world of storytelling. That's all part of the approach for immersive. So it's really about the encapsulation aspect and the concept also of a shared experience, because what I like about this medium is that you are together with a group and going through that world, that encapsulated world with a group of people, and you are having emotions, you have moments of joy, moments of awe that you are sharing, and you are walking through that journey, because the concept of our exhibits is usually 75-minute journeys, where the immersive segment is the main portion. We have three immersive galleries, but we also have pre and post-show experiences. So usually our journeys are about 75 minutes. This was one of our most successful exhibit, maybe not surprisingly, the Van Gogh show. I think one of the success for that one, actually, while we are on the topic of the distinction between immersion and interactivity, I think what we were able to do with Van Gogh is that there were a few shows actually going. That one that was presented in Montreal, and a lot of different Van Gogh shows that were happening throughout the world. I think why we did it was because we didn't feel that a lot of shows actually delivered on the emotional resonance
Mm.
with Van Gogh's talent and vision and work, the quality of his work. So we took a deeper dive. We actually wanted to make a statement. Initially, we did not want to do exhibits about painters because we thought there was enough and we didn't want to go there. But at a certain point, it became kind of, we want to make a point that if you're going to do an exhibit on painters, please show some soul. Please truly connect with the artist and develop an experience that takes the audience to a new place in how they relate to that artist. So again, the emotion, the immersive element is really about being encapsulated in this story. The interactive element is really about triggering different elements. So we have the floor in some of our galleries is interactive, and so as people are walking through the space, they can affect the visual outcome. In certain cases, the audio outcome. We also have, like in this last show, we have a wearable, an LED wearable that is thanks to the mastery of the company Pixmob, a local company who are having a
Oh,
big
yes.
success globally. We also have interactive creative workshops at the end of the show. So the interactive portion takes different form, but the immersive for us is really about these moments where you are encapsulated in the galleries with powerful visuals, powerful soundtracks, and soundscapes.
Is Nature Vive the current show?
It's one of the shows. It's not the main show. Currently, the main show is the Immersive Carnival of the Animals, but Net Survive is also still playing. We've launched this show two years ago. Actually, it's a show collaboration with National Geographic, and it's still generating a lot of interest. It's one of it's one of our favorite shows because of the nature of the topic, of course. And I think we're really proud of that show because of, I think, how we were able to put together or a creative proposition that was built on hope, but not in wearing your pink glasses about the state of the environment, but being more focused on positive action and hope. And I think we delivered a very special experience. We actually last year we won a best international exhibit for this show, so we're really proud of that one.
Okay, I have a quiz for you now. The reason this came into my brain, I will explain, and it will lead to a question, I assure you. Now, I'm sure Era may figure out what this is. Denis, perhaps not. But do you know what this is?
Expo 67.
Wait, it's the telephone pavilion.
Oh mon Dieu.
60 years ago, merde, déjà. And I remember experiencing film or video in the round at this pavilion nearly 60 years ago.
Yeah.
And this was 35 millimeter film that was back projected on these convex screens. And so you had a 360 view of Quebec or La Colline Parlementaire or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And what I had to sit down because I was going to throw up. Okay, so it had a physical effect on me at the time, and this is what came to my little brain when I was looking at the video of the exhibits you're working on, Denis. And I don't mean to be flip about this, but it has to have a physiological effect on people who go through them. Yes.
Yes, it does, and it does.
Do people get dizzy or fall down or have difficulty?
It's rare. It's rare, and the reason is that we are careful about that. This is part of the best practices in terms of the way that we create content. It does happen sometimes that people will kind of like notice that, okay, losing their stability a bit, but it's quite rare.
Okay.
In the way that we produce the content, we take that in consideration. Camera movements, visual effects. We are careful about the speed of these elements, how we combine visual effects on the floor and the walls together. But it's true that it does happen.
Is everything projected onto the surfaces or from behind or both?
Yeah, you're right that in the example that you showed, this was rear projection, but in our case, it's really, most of the projectors are in the ceiling and projecting on the surface.
And the technology, of course, has come a long way in 60 years, but are you still having to catch up? Is it improving yet still as we go on?
It's improving, but I find that angle about fast-paced innovation and that it's a bit it's a bit overplayed in the sense that at the end of the day, it's the concept and the storytelling and
Mhm.
what you present to the audience that really counts.
Okay.
That the projector uses a certain laser technology or another, for the audience, it doesn't matter that much, especially in the experiential world. Not to say that you need to make compromises on quality, but once you have the good basic tools, then it becomes more your responsibility to deliver on the concept, the
The content.
storytelling, the
Right.
experience itself, the emotional resonance. That's really what counts. So I think it's more where we see more of a need for innovation. It's probably more related to the peripheral elements, such as LED bracelets that are connected to the story, such as an AI photo booth that we have at the end of the show, such as potentially sensors that trigger certain elements as you are walking through the space. So, but on the fundamental technology infrastructure, yes, there are innovations, but we have what we need to deliver on our promise.
Era, earlier off camera, you were talking about bringing kids into that environment.
Oh, it's really something to watch children go through it because, unlike adults, when you're a kid, you don't have any preconceived notions. Everything comes at you, you absorb it. They're really, when they talk about a childlike mind, which is not childish, but a childlike mind absorbs. It's absorbing, it's absorbing, absorbing, and I've seen children they're filled with joy, and it's kind of cool too because when you're around children in this experience, you stop with your stupid adult mind going, well, why does it work like that? As opposed to, isn't this glorious? And it brings you in. And I think living in a world where there's so much that that something like this is really important. The current exhibit, the immersive Carnival of the Animals, I cannot pronounce the name of the composer. I will let Yvan do that in a moment. But I am familiar with this piece of music because my father was a classical music uh, aficionado. And so actually being able to, when I was a kid, when I'd listen to music, I'd have images in my head. So being able to
Yeah,
hear
me too.
something, but now be able to see it, I think that is spectacular because it's all the senses are involved. And I think with children, when they leave, and I'm a big kid, it inspires our imagination.
Yeah.
Or didn't you mention something about kids on the spectrum too, who
Yes,
were
there
affected
were
by?
some kids that are on the spectrum, and it's really funny because when people talk about the spectrum, there used to be a lot more pejorative, but now people see that their way of reacting with things is different. They also feel and absorb things. What I noticed is that there was almost a physical reaction, but at the same time, sometimes children on the spectrum, uh, there's too much stimulation with sound or light. And once again, I'm sure people like Giant Steps, they will of course check out what is great for children, who have this experience. But for me, what I noticed was just I have a lot of Asperger's in my family, and you'd see that there was an overreaction to things. But with this, I found that there was an opening instead of a closing. And I don't know,
Hmm?
Denis, if there's been any studies on this, but that was my experience with the group I was with.
That's wild. Now, Denis, do you treat this like a movie? Do you have test audiences who come through before you make an exhibit public, for example?
It's a good question. Actually, we don't necessarily at the production level yet. We'll do that sometimes at the preliminary concept level. So when we'll have like preliminary ideas, preliminary visuals, we will consult different audiences depending on um, you know each exhibit in the early stages of this industry, the approach in terms of developing content was really more of a, you know, 7 to 77 years old, experiences for all ages. And as the industry is evolving, refining its approach, its relationship with audiences, you see more and more experiences like the immersive Carnival of the Animals that are more targeted to certain audience group. Now, we have done in the past certain validation to ensure that does this really appeal to this audience? Well, we have in mind that it would be a wide audience. Does this appeal? So we do certain verification, but it's not as, I would say, structured as in the cinema industry, where it used to be with preliminary screenings and adjustments. So, and one of the reason is that like the industry is still relatively new and best practices are not yet clearly established. And it's very difficult to do these focus groups because people do not know about these experiences yet. You know that
Right.
you don't when you don't know what you don't know, like you can comment on it, but when you look at the whole experience and you're in it, it's a different story. Like, oh, okay,
Right.
that's what you meant to say. Oh, okay, now, yeah, but that I like that one. But when you showed me the picture, I didn't understand what it would be. So there's still an educational aspect to this. That is part of the process. And what we had noticed in some of the preliminary focus group was exactly that. People didn't understand what we were presenting.
Okay.
So
All
it's
right.
changing now. We're refining our approach. But yeah,
So what's next? Are you always thinking of the next project?
always
Okay.
thinking about the next project, thinking about actually a lot of things at the same time.
I'm
Uh,
sure.
I didn't think that this industry, to be very transparent, would be as demanding. You know, if you really want to, be an active player, when you are building a new industry and you want to, position the organization, establish quality, and like it's quite demanding. We are also very active in the B2B segment, so we do a lot of private events throughout the year, branded events. Immersive conferences, immersive product launches, team building, live performance. We do a lot of events, and that in itself is a business. And then you add the immersive exhibit segment, and you add the immersive exhibit production segment because we do not only show exhibits, we're actually involved in the production. So it makes for good daily schedules
I
uh,
can imagine. Yeah.
with a lot of twists and turns. But yeah, we think about next projects. We think about strategic alliances. We are putting a lot of efforts in developing ourselves at the international level. So we've licensed experiences in different parts of the world, in France, in Spain, in Mexico, and we're continuing to build on that. So our focus is really about continuing to innovate, surprise the audiences, think about the next project, but also think about how we can continue to grow and develop international alliances.
Yeah, I was wondering about licensing too, because you can't just grab an image off Wikipedia and project it on a wall here, or you can't just grab something from Van Gogh and play with it all you want. There has to be some un encadrement quelque part.
The only situations where we have an encadrement is when we are actually licensing a certain IP.
Mm.
So you referenced Van Gogh. Van Gogh is a rights-free
Oh, it
asset.
is.
His
Okay.
work his work is in the public domain. Artists have a certain time depending on the country and their personal circumstances, but it's usually about between 50 and 75 years. There's no limits to how you can use Van Gogh asset. That said, with the Not Survive show where we collaborated with National Geographic, that's different. There's a context. National Geographic have certain standards. There's a brand. There's an approach. We presented a vision of the show to National Geographic, and everything went well. But there was additional thought that was put into this and consideration for the brand and IP. So we usually don't have that much limitation because we're, in a lot of the shows we use the rights-free assets. But you are right that the quality of the asset is really important because we are
Mm,
showing visuals at a very high resolution. So the source assets are not what you would see on the web. They are high level, high quality, specialized assets that we either create or acquire. Like in the case of Van Gogh, we had access to very high quality scans of his work, and
mm.
we deconstructed that to build the show.
I'd like to talk to you about your latest production, the Immersive Carnival of the Animals, and I believe, Yvan, we have some video about this.
Let
Um,
me go
in the
through my
publicity, it's in
vast collection of
your
things here.
vast collection, but you celebrate music diversity, and you're also championing inclusion in the universal language of classical music. So tell me more about this exhibit and how it came about.
It came about. We were approached by a nonprofit artistic organization called the Music Arsenal, and they've been doing theatrical shows for schools for a long time. And one of the shows that they have been doing for a few years now is the Carnival of the Animals. And there were two live performers. They had marionettes. They had music, and it was a show that toured in schools. And they approached us to explore the possibility of developing an immersive show and take that to another level. And right away, I mean, I knew about this orchestral suite, but right away we said, oh, okay, that's something really interesting. And the main reason was that, as you were referring to earlier, this music, and for in a lot of cases for a lot of music, but particularly in this one, it's very cinematic and just begs for creates imagery in your mind. Actually, fun fact, Camille Saint-Saëns, who's the composer, two fun facts on that. So he composed this in Austria in 1886, so 140 years ago. But he did not want this to be played publicly during his lifetime because he had composed the Carnival of the Animals as a fun moment just to kind of hang out with his friends and play it privately and just kind of like
Hmm.
as a moment of relaxation. But he did not want this piece to be played publicly because his thought was that this would not be perceived very well for him in his reputation as a serious composer. So the Carnival of the Animals was not played until I believe 1922. It was actually played for the first time in public in 1922, the day that we launched it here in Montreal, so on February 25th. And and then he's also the second fun fact is that Camille Saint-Saëns is known as the first artist who produced a soundtrack for a movie, like officially. I think the title of the movie was The Assassination of the Duc de something. I don't remember but so he's known as the first composer of a soundtrack for a movie. And so I think it speaks a lot to the quality of his music, the how it resonates and creates images in your mind. And we were very much inspired by the possibility of proposing a world, creating a world out of nothing, out of his music, actually. And the planet Capriccio and these hybrid animals that are half animals, half instruments, and the relationship between them, and the fact that, the message essentially is that harmony comes when people connect together, listen to each other, and so that's kind of the core message. I would say that the show is kind of like this immersive fable. There's a storytelling aspect. Music plays an important role, of course. Another fun fact about the show is that the music was actually recorded by the Orchestre Métropolitain, Orchestre des Jeunes, Orchestre Symphonique des Jeunes de Montréal. So
Oh,
Cool.
good,
they
good.
are not professionals. They are passionate teenagers between about 14 and 19 years old that performed the works. And it's just it's so fantastic the quality of the production of it. So it's all of these ingredients I think that makes this project special, that really convinced us that there was something to that. And the other aspect was that it's a music that has had great success all over the world. People know about this orchestral suite, and so for us it was important, considering that each of our production we want to distribute in different regions of the world.
I also remember that when I went there in 2022, seems like forever ago now, but there was a collaboration with artists. I believe there were 7 pieces, and you can correct me, please, but there was a collaboration because if someone goes and goes, I'm an artist, I would like to do something with Oasis. I believe that in 2022 you had an exhibit such as that.
We did. We actually had 2 exhibits where the concept was about um, compiling different artworks, and we curated them in an exhibit concept. So the first one was called Recharge and Unwind. It was built as a wellness experience. In this one, we had 10 artworks from artists from all over the world, from of course, Canada, but also France, Poland, Japan, Holland. And so this was the first one. The second one was an exhibit called Transformer. This was an exhibit about the power of courage and empathy. We had 8 artworks that focused on real stories. To my knowledge, it's probably in the, let's say, commercial immersive destination field. It's the only exhibit that actually featured real life stories and not easy topics. You know, we were talking addressing mental health, grief, uh, isolation in large cities, surconsommation. Difficult but very current topics that address the notion of courage and empathy, but each of them had a very uplifting angle to it. Even though there was, very strong emotion, it took people somewhere where we thought there was an example of courage that we wanted to share with our audience. So we do work with a lot of different talented artists from all over the world. We encourage that, and this is kind of part of our DNA.
We're a long way from the telephone pavilion. I assure you. I look forward to. I
That
look
was
forward
such a
to
good
see.
example. I really like the reference. No, because
That's what came into my little brain as soon as I saw this, and I heard about the Van Gogh exhibit, and people had talked to me about it, and I thought, my God, I remember barfing and the telephone pavilion. So
wow. Yeah, no, but this is, these are reference projects that were the start of the multimedia industry in Quebec. I mean, at the end of the day, that's just the reality. And
absolutely. Oh yeah. Yes.
we've had a long history of developing innovative technology-based audiovisual experiences, and it grew exponentially over the past 15, 20 years. It's a segment that the Quebec government has supported over the past, more specifically about in the past 5 years. I have to say that our Minister of Culture has done such a fantastic job in
Oh, good.
putting digital creativity up front and supporting it in the past few years. And yeah, he may not be in his position in the fall, but he was a fantastic ambassador for our industry, and I really appreciated his support and focus. We have a lot of talent in our province, as you know, in terms of digital creativity.
Mm.
But when you want to take it to another level, when you want to go international, you need to be supported, and SODEC and the MCC have been crucial in supporting us in doing so.
That's great to hear. Denis Lavigne, Oasis Immersion at the Palais des Congrès in Montreal. I gotta go see that. Era.
Yes, we'll go together.
Okay.
I'll make sure I'll hold your hand. No,
Yeah.
seriously.
All right. I'll bring my little. I'll bring my little barf bag with me
No,
just in
it
case.
does not make it.
By the way, just as just a little
I'm very sensitive.
update, we are exploring new avenues of immersion. So if we look to the future in terms of how we're positioning Oasis, we want to explore different forms of immersion. So we've been focused up to now on what I would say is it could be described as hybrid immersion, because we've combined immersion and different technologies, live performance. Now we are combining immersion with VR, and so we will launch in the next
Cool.
few months VR experiences. So if you are sensitive to these things, just get ready. But we will have additional layers of experience that we will announce in the next few weeks that will broaden our perspective of what is an immersive experience, and how we can connect with topic in a fascinating way.
Well, I will
Wow.
tell you before we let you go that the morning that I spent with you when I was doing global weather and we went through the whole exhibit, I was really filled with joy as someone who actually paints and is an artist, to be able to do my weather in all these different and incredible and amazing, like, destinations, I'll call them, or creative destinations. It was the most fantastic thing. And I was there for 3 hours and it just kind of went like that. So my experience for people who are going to go see it, I have to tell you, it is great. It just brings you in. And I found that when I left there, I wasn't thinking about things that were bothering me. I wasn't thinking about what was next. All I could think of, it was like it brought me in, but I left with it. And I think that's the joy of a true immersive experience, is it leaves with you.
Wow.
This is a really thank you for that. This is very special to hear that, because that's the objective of Oasis. I mean, not to be corny about it, but our objective was to use the immersive media to inspire people, to uplift. We want people to leave our space with something that stays with them in every exhibit, whatever the topic. And so when I hear that, it's very moving, because it's what we want to do. It's the way that we want to use this medium, and create an impact on the audience. So thank you.
Denis Lavigne, we'll let you get back to work, sir. Thank you. Merci.
Thank you. Merci pour l'invitation.
Merci beaucoup. Merci. Bonne journée.
Au revoir.